Okay, so you can see my screen? You can see this? Okay, cool. So today I'm going to be doing a Adobe Lightroom tutorial. Um, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be turning a raw image into a cool little photo. So first, what I like to do is I'm going to be selecting a photo. Some of the stuff that I've done in the past, I can open up some of my Lightroom files. Now this is different from Photoshop. Like so, this is one that I did the other day. I did today. I really like this. I think it's really beautiful. Um, this is another one that I think is quite nice. Um, a lot of stuff from Boston. I've done concert photography, done a lot of really interesting, cool stuff that I think is pretty nifty. Um, I've also dabbled in portraiture and oh, that's more portraiture and landscape stuff. So yeah, I think I've done a lot. So, but today we're going to be starting from scratch and doing a little Lightroom tutorial just because I feel like doing it, and I think it would be beneficiary because I think I've learned a lot from doing just a bunch of Lightroom stuff. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a photo. So I think when doing Lightroom, it's very important that you pick a photo that you think works and that you think Lightroom will it'll benefit from Lightroom. And it's one of those things, why Lightroom and why not Photoshop? Because I think Photoshop is altering the image completely and making it like, taking like removing stuff, taking stuff out. But with Lightroom, I think it's Lightroom is if I'm excuse me while I browse through photos. Lightroom is you're changing, the light and then the shading and making it the image vibrant, a little more color. It's more color based than I feel Photoshop is color and light based, hence Lightroom. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find something that is already pretty good, and then we're just gonna modify it a little bit with Lightroom. So it's gonna take me a minute. So just hold on a second. So I'll show you because I'm not gonna. This is gonna be completely uncut because I'm gonna be finding something completely new. This that was a accident. We're gonna be doing. I like these cities, these cityscapes of Boston. But like I don't love this. This is like really basic. This is really basic. I like this one with the boat. I think this one with the boat is a good one because you have the sailboat, you have the buildings, you have your greens, you have your greens, your popping colors. So because I did this is pretty similar to this is pretty similar to this one. So I think it's kind of the same shit. So we're gonna go to this. We're gonna find the CR2 of this. This is the one. I just want to. Usually, what I do is I take multiple versions of each one. So I'm just gonna go throughout this one. See, virtually no. Actually, I want this one because it's, as you can see, there's more sky. There's more to work with. There's more to do here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just looking around a little bit. So I think that's out of focus. Goddamn. So I think the move is we're gonna go with this one only because there's more sky up here and we have more breathing room to work with. So we're gonna go with you see up there. This is JPEG 5907. So I'm gonna do the CR2 for that. Open it up in 5907. It's gonna open up in Lightroom, and I'm doing this all uncut just to show you how easy it is. We're gonna open it up in Lightroom. There we go. And these are all the photos. Down here you'll see all the photos that you have. Whoops. There we go. Down here you will see all the photos that you have edited up until this point. But now it'll just be this one. So what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna go to this one up here. I believe this is called just the edit bar, and we're gonna get into what all of these ones do in a minute. So up here you have your levels. You have your RGB levels up here. You have red, green, blue, and this shows you what weight that the colors hold. So this is auto. These are just for color. I don't touch these because it uses AI. Black and white, I never really do black and white in Lightroom. That's more of a Photoshop thing for me. So this is what you're gonna want to do. Adobe, profile. So it has all these things you can do. You can do vivid, you can do standard. I usually go with standard, but I think for this time this is portrait. I never use portrait. Landscape, it basically tailors the color to what your photo is. And then adaptive color I almost never use. So right now for this one we're just gonna go with Adobe Color. If you can see it. So we're gonna go with Adobe Color. So now this is light. Now I like the way actually I usually try to see what adaptive color looks like just to see, and I don't love that. But sometimes adaptive color will. So for this, I'm gonna try and see if I can. So I think I am gonna do adaptive color, because adaptive color essentially what it does in my experience is that it will. If you have a photo like this photo, and you can see the clouds or the sky is a little bit overexposed. Basically, what adaptive color will do it's basically saying it basically knows this is what you wanted and here it is. So as you can see, it makes the clouds a little bit more you know pronounced, and it generally darkened the whole photo. So I think adaptive color is not really it's not my go-to, but if because I usually try to get my settings right, but for this it just happened to be a little overexposed. So adaptive color for me is not my go-to, but it does help. So it's not I can't really say when to use and when not to use adaptive color. It's sort of up to you. It's dealer's choice. So for this, I think I'm just gonna do adaptive color. For this one, the amount up here is like how much. Like it basically tells you like it chooses. It sort of does some of it for you, but I actually don't. It does help and make things a little bit more distinct. I'm just gonna do. I think for the sake of this, I'm gonna do Adobe Color, and then we're gonna go to the first thing we're gonna do is this is very overexposed. So I think I want to bring it down just a little bit, and bringing it down like just a little bit, we'll see. Well, that will bring out the clouds because the the whole thing is a little overexposed. So I think I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna bring up the contrast just that's way too much, just a little bit like that. So I think this is generally where I want things. I'm gonna bring the highlights down a little bit. Sometimes like what I like to do is just play around with these and see what it does. But I think I'm gonna bring it down just ever so slightly and bring the exposure like that. I like this because then we can separate these two. So that's that. This is where we are right now, and I think this is really good. The next thing I want to do is see where the shadows lie. So the shadows are by the trees. So a lot of the shadows are here and here. I don't love playing with shadows, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. I don't love working with them because I feel like you can sort of lose a lot of the light and like a lot of the cool things. I think playing with shadows, kind of I don't know the word for it. To me, it doesn't seem necessary a lot of the time. Whites, this is bringing up our whites. As you can see, the sky, the buildings, a lot of our sort of harsher whites up here. So whites, I'm going to bring them up just a little bit because it does seem a little bit dark, like there. Maybe thinking the sky still looks a little weird. Oh, and this right here is a little splotch that was on my little thing on my lens, but we can fix that. Not in Lightroom, but I'll show you this. So right now, all this stuff, the temperature, the color, that I'm not going to play with right now. Right now, the first thing I wanted to do, I should have done this first, is the first thing you want to do is when you open up Edit, and then literally, like before you even do this, you scroll all the way down, and you'll see this right here. It says remove chromatic aberration. That is getting rid of fringing, bright lights, light clipping, shadows. That you just click that, give it 1 second, and then here I'll show you. So if we zoom in a little bit, I don't know if I can I don't know if I can see any fringing in this image. I think okay, so right here, there's gonna be a little bit of fringing right here. So like, I'd say like right here around the edges of like right here, that's fringing right there. That little green line right there. And this green and the purple should go away right there. So it gets rid of small things like that they make a good difference in like the photo. But if you want to print a photo, fringing is your nightmare. So this right here is for color is where I want to go. So this was taken at about 2 or 3 p.m. But I really want to add sort of I want it to lean more into to the the sort of evening aspect. So before I do any of that, I actually want to take this. I never really play with these right here. I mostly go to this, which is basically the target adjustment. So you can bring it over and you can click on whatever color you want to adjust. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the sky just a little bit more, that's way too blue, like that. I'm going to bring up the hue and make it a little bit more brighter like that. And then saturation, I'm just going to move it up a little bit. Because if you move it too bright, it looks like that, and that's fucking crazy. And this is where I feel Lightroom differentiates from Photoshop. Is where Photoshop you can select certain parts and play with that. Notice that if I do this, it changes the color of the water too. So just be wary of that. This goes for any sort of color that falls under the blue color tone. So I'm gonna make the sky a little bit more blue, like that, and then I'm gonna bring so the luminance basically is like how bright and like the light that it expels. So I'm gonna bring the luminance down just a little bit, just to make the sky a little more pronounced, and then I'm going to bring up the saturation just a tiny bit. And there we go. I think that leaves us with a nice blue sky. I think that sky is pretty sweet if you ask me. Um, this isn't like usually I spend like hours editing photos. I'm not gonna spend hours tweaking this and going over every little bit because this is just a very quick thing. But essentially that's what that does. Now I think we're looking pretty good right now. I think we're looking pretty good. Um, but I do want to bring up this sailboat because I think this sailboat is the star of the show. Whoops. Oh God. I think so. We're gonna go back to this. We're gonna click it again because it just sort of resets it. Then we're gonna bring it over to the sailboat. I do want to zoom in for this because I don't want to select the trees. There we go. You can click that, and then I believe since this is reddish brown, it'll sort of affect these buildings. So I don't want to mess with it too much. So I am gonna bring up the sailboat just ever so slightly. There we go. That's good because you don't want to mess around too much with these because I'll show you why. So I think right now the only thing that I want to touch up again is the trees. I think the trees are really what I want to mess with. So I'm gonna get a nice green tree to get us a nice baseline green. There we go. Bring up the saturation a little bit. Not if you brought it, if you, like that looks unnatural, but also that looks bad too. So I think you need to work. It's sort of like more you have to figure out what works for you. But I think that this looks really good. I'm gonna bring the hue down just a little bit, and I want to add some of that yellow, the nice summer sort of yellows. So I think right now we're looking really good because we got the blues, we got the greens, we got the little brown sprinkled throughout, and then we got the big blue sky. So now I do want to change the light because this looks like noon, but I want it to look like evening right now. So what I'm gonna do for temp, and basically this is like cool light, warm light. You know what I, you know. So if you slide it more this way, you'll get colder light. If you slide it this way, you'll get warmer light. So if you want to like deep fry your image and make it look like the Earth is being bombed, you can do that. Or if you want to make it like the Earth is under the ice age, you can do that. So, but right now I'm gonna move it ever so slightly this way, just to give it that little bit of heat. But we're not gonna do that too. We're not gonna go too heavy on that because um I will get to that in a minute. But now, because when you have color, um it changes other things. So this is your crop tool, you know. But I don't think there's anything I really want to crop here. I think if anything, I'm just gonna bring the water up just a little bit. I want to get that sort of this is the top third, this is the middle. I think I want to even out that middle thirds just a little bit. So I think this is a good photo. This is really good. Everything is flat. Everything's really good. I think this is perfect. Um, this one, I tend not to use the remove tool that much because I've very rarely tried to remove anything. But I've actually never tried this. I want to see if the remove tool will remove that camera splotch there. Removing AI. Let's see. Did it work? Did not really work the best. So I generally don't love AI remove tools because the AI remove tool and they have I didn't wait, hold on. This is actually new to me. I didn't know Adobe had clone stamp. Give me or Lightroom had clone stamp. Give me 2 seconds. Let me lock in for a second. I didn't know this. I didn't know this. That Lightroom had clone stamp. So apparently Lightroom has clone stamp because there's this little splotch up here that I want to get rid of. I'm learning stuff right now. Holy crap. Is it the same as I think this should if this works, that'll be crazy. Did it work? No, it didn't. So this is a job for Photoshop. Getting rid of that camera, getting rid of this thing right there. That's a job for Photoshop. So I tend not to use this tool the remove tool. This is your best friend. When you want to create like light, like shadows or light coming from different areas, masking for me is my best friend. Masking also has the sky feature, which I don't usually use because I think I'd rather do the colors myself, but masking will detect the sky. There you go. You click mask, which is the circle, and then it'll give you options of your sky. So then I can lower this thing. I got the color. Now I want to lower the exposure just a little bit to bring out those clouds. And then I'm going to bring up the contrast just a little bit. That's a lot. Goddamn. I'm going to bring up the contrast just a little bit like that. There we go. And then here's where you can control the temperature. So if you wanted to go this way, make the sky a little more, yellow, which I don't want to do, and I'll show you why. But I do want the sky to be a little more blue. So I'm going to bring it, there we go. And that's exactly the sky that I want. That is exactly the sky that I want. Not to, and then you can do hue, but I do want the hue to not be so, baby blue. I want it to be a little darker, so I'm just going to move it a little bit more this way. Make it a little darker. There we go. That's a natural sky. So this is exactly the sky that we want. I think that this is perfect. Um, so this is looking really, really, really good. So now this is everything that I've wanted to do with the sky mask. So now we're gonna go. If you've already done one mask, your little compartment up here will show you what you've done. So now we're gonna go to the plus sign right here. It says create new mask, and then it's gonna give us the same little thing. So now I feel like to add a little bit more personality to this, so you have different gradients here. The brush I never use because the brush I feel is a little bit inaccurate. You can, it shows you a little video. You can brush over things and it'll make a mask there. I think the brush for me, this is my best friend, the linear gradient. So you just click on it, and then your little cursor will turn into this little plus, as you can see right here, as I'm going around right here, this little plus. So basically, you just click it anywhere on the screen, and then you'll see this. And then this little blue square is how you can move it, and basically you can turn it every which way that you want. How do I? You can turn it every which way that you want. And basically what the mask does is that where the red is, this is where essentially imagine a light coming down from there. So I want sort of sunlight, sort of a skew sunlight, because you see shadows are falling. Shadows are falling over here because there's shadows, there's shadows. Shadows are falling over here. So what I want to do is kind of move it a little bit this way, and then because I don't want it to stop immediately because I think that that is goofy. So what you want to do is take this bottom one, the part of the mask that is opposite, that is furthest from the red. You want to drag that out, and that'll basically even out your mask. So, and now you have everything open up for your all the settings. And don't worry, it's not gone. When it goes away, it's just showing you so you can edit. So if you bring the exposure all the way up, you'll see that it does that. But I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit, like that. Like that's good. And I also use this because if you notice, like part of the like I also use this, like let's say half the image is darker, so I use it for all sorts of things. It's good. Like let's say some of your shadows are a little bit wonky and you want to bring them up, you can just do exposure and that'll be great. Like masks are my best friend when I want to even out light in an image, but I want to make it kind of look like sunset, like beginning of golden hour. So then I'm going to up the contrast just ever so slightly because I want the effect of that the sun is shining over here, right? So highlights, I'm going to skip out on that for now because highlights is what I do when I come back. Um, and I want that warm summer sunlight. So I'm going to make the temp just ever so slightly a little bit warmer. So now we're getting the effect that it's getting dark. It's the sun's setting, but we're still in that golden hour period of time. So, and then I'm gonna go to hue, and I want it to be a little bit more. I'm gonna make the temp just a little bit warmer, because when you move your temperature, your hue also changes. There we go. Because I wanted it to be like that just before the light changes. There we go. just before the sun's going down. I think that this is a good mask. But I do want to bring the shadows up just a little bit because I think the intense shadows add something to it. So again, not spending hours on this, but I think that this is coming together quite well. You can add tints. I usually don't play around with tints too much because I feel like tints can they can go south very fast. But yeah. And then up here, the amount, that's like essentially the intensity of the mask that you want. So you can make it go all the way up or all the way, like it's the intensity of the mask. I tend to leave it at 100, maybe like 10, 104, 105. Like I try not to go past 115 because then it just becomes ridiculous. But yeah, so this is what we have right now. I think the temp is fine. Temp's not as warm as I'd like it, but I think any warmer it would start to come off as a little bit, I don't know, like not the best. But I do want to see what kind of hues I can play with because if you look at the hues, you can do all sorts of wacky things. I try to just keep it normal, keep it neutral, keep my hue normal. But yeah, so I like what we have here, but there's a few more things I want to do. I want to make these trees pop. I want to make down here because we have the sky now, but down here is looking a little dark. It's really top heavy on light. So background, not background. Another linear gradient. We're gonna bring it down here, and we're gonna start here. But see, so the linear gradient it'll start here, but don't worry, even though it's on the top, you're gonna grab the first line, and then you're just gonna reverse it. You're just gonna pull down, and then it'll be like that. So I'm going to bring it up around there, but that would be kind of unrealistic if I had it just there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up just a little bit, and I'm going to grab that top line, and I'm going to move it up so the light starts to subside just around the top of the building. I might actually even move it up just a little further. So here we go. Now, I want to bring the water up just a little bit too, because it's looking a little dark. And I'm going to bring the contrast up. No, I'm not. I'm going to bring the contrast. Actually, I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Yeah. So I want the water to sort of reflect. So it's all about thinking about where light placement is. So we have the light shining from up here. So I want the water to reflect that. So bring the highlights down a little bit because I don't want it to be super blown out. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to have it at -5. I try not to go too extreme with a lot of these. But I do want, so this is cool water, but it's warm light. So I'm going to bring the temp up just a little bit. And as you can see, that was a lot, try not to get too indulgent with these. But I think that this right here, you have these sort of nice yellow greenish trees. And again, a lot of this is just tailored to this picture. So a lot of this varies from picture to picture. So you have these nice trees here, and that did change it a little bit. So I'm going to do the hue, sort of match the warm light. There we go. Because none of this is going to be really like super, super, super saturated. I want it to look like sunset, right? So I think this is exactly where I want it. Nothing would really change about this. So we're going to go back to our edit, right? Actually, there is one more thing that I want to show you. There is one more type of gradient that I want to do. Do one here, and then this is one that I love, radial gradient. So what a radial gradient does is when, again, you have your little cursor. I want to bring this sailboat out. So what you do is you're gonna click it here, and then it'll create like a little circle. So then you can play with this as much or as little as you want. Again, this middle circle is going to be the center of your light. And essentially the farther you bring these out, like the dimmer your light gets, and this is like the center. So I'm going to bring it out just like this. I'm going to have it very small, and I'm going to have the light go a little bit more in. Because all I'm looking to do is just bring that sailboat out just a little bit. Like that's fine. Like that does it all for me. And maybe I'm going to make the temperature just a little warm. No, I'm not, because then that sticks out too much. That's all I want to do. Just bring it out ever so slightly. And then I'm actually going to do one more radial gradient uh, on these buildings here because I think that I do want them to be brought out just a little bit because I really like them. I'm going to bring it out to about here because this was taken near right across the street, like right near Back Bay. Like that's Back Bay in Boston right over there. So I'm going to bring, because these are already brought out because these were brought out because of our gradient shining down on them. But these sort of got, like if the gradient, like let's say the sun is going over here, it's getting all of these, but it's almost going over these buildings. So I'm making up for these. I'm going to bring these out just, I'm going to bring these out just a little bit. Like that's perfect right there. I'm going to bring the shadows down a little bit just because, the light's hitting and I want these shadows to be a little bit darker. So if I zoom in on these, um, if you bring the shadows down, you can see how, yeah. Because I want the shadows to be more intense because, because the sun's going over them. And then I'm going to change the hue just a little bit or the temperature. And you know what? I think this is perfect. You don't got to play too much. There's not too much. You can play around with contrast just a little bit, but contrast really doesn't do much in gradients, I feel. Depending on what it's for. So right now, this is our picture. This is our picture. I think it looks really good, but and if you look on your keyboard, underneath the backspace, you're gonna see the slash key. If you press slash, you can see your original image. So this is what we had before, very blue, very hazy, and this is what we have now, very vibrant. I basically changed the time of when this image was taken. So yeah, but this is all I have to, all I have to share for Lightroom. But there is one more thing. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. So what I'm gonna do is you can edit in Photoshop. I don't love doing this, um, per se, but there are two ways you could do this. You could either export the image, and then open your exported image in Photoshop. But for the sake of this video, I don't recommend this. You can just do edit from Photoshop. That's right here. You can just pause to read that. Okay, so um, it's just right here. Let's say opening in Photoshop. It takes a minute, and Photoshop is opening on my other screen. Perfect. How's your day? I got a new haircut today. I honestly really like it. I really fuck with it. Anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move Photoshop over to this computer. There we go. So it should just give it a minute. It'll open. Sometimes the computer. There we go. So this is our Lightroom image, but I really really fucking hate this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clone stamp this. I'm gonna go in with this. Now some people might have Photoshop Elements. This is just regular Adobe Photoshop. This is not Photoshop Elements. This is not Photoshop anything. This is just plain old vanilla Photoshop. So I see this big splotch here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Alt click. I'm going to Alt click there. And then I'm just going to, that's not that clean. I don't like that much. I'm going to Control Z and undo that. What I'm going to do is I think the move is just to make this really big. I am not a huge clone stamp like master. So this is kind of new to me. Did that do a job? Did that do a good job getting rid of it? I can do one more little like. There we go. And it's gone. Look at that. It's not even there anymore. So now, I believe you can go back to Lightroom. Never mind. That's so when it says if you do from Lightroom, if you right click and do edit in Photoshop, it'll do open as smart object in Photoshop, and essentially that means any editing you do in Photoshop, it'll like after 5 minutes of whatever processing those Photoshop edits will reappear here on your timeline in Lightroom. But for the sake of that, I'm not going to do that. So right here, I'm just going to do File, and then I'm going to do Export as. I'm going to bring it. I usually just do mine as a JPEG. I know it's not like the best. I'm going to bring that up to 7. will be perfect. I'm gonna bring this to export, and then I have to right there, and then I just have that set, exporting to my Photoshop folder. Then last finishing touch is I have this is my horizontal settings. I have it at 1350 by 1080 pixels to add a little outline or a little frame or whatever you want to call it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my files. Good Lord. Open my files, go to Photoshop, and then I'm going to select our Boston picture, drag and drop. Photoshop used to have a setting where you could it said insert image down there, but then they got rid of it. So I'm going to put it right here. And, oh, bro, there we go. Is this the best, is this the best picture ever? No. Did it get the job done for a Lightroom tutorial? Yes. So now finally, I'm going to do export again. Export as. I'm going to bring this up. Export. And then untitled, so that was 67, last time it was 67, so I'm going to do export 68. And save. And there you go. When you open it up, it should be right here. And that's our picture. There we go. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is a 30-minute long video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk about. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.